Now the question is, the microphone.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing,
That work?
testing. Can we turn that down?
That was, the camera is working too. You see that?
Is
I
the
can turn mine
meeting,
off.
is the meeting working? Is the meeting?
It's fun.
Where is that camera that is showing that right now?
No sense of humor, Patty. No sense of humor.
I need to talk to you about it. I've been ignoring you.
Yes, you have, but that's okay. I figure you're
This
really
one, this
busy.
one here is my computer.
I need to
can
talk to you
log
too.
off.
We'll talk. I made a video of the class today. It was so
I gotta
funny
find
last night.
You know, I gotta talk to you about that.
What
You
is
had
in
me
that? It's
down
got
as,
something in it. It's got a
absent.
little
Lum,
hit,
lum.
yeah.
yeah, for Monday's session.
Okay. You had a good hit.
You had me, you know, when you said down below, like absent,
Yeah,
I was
All
on the
right, now I
absent.
know I'm gonna have another
yeah,
one.
because you didn't answer until you were finished.
Oh, it was-
wow.
Really good.
What we have here is a failure.
To communicate. Oh, God, that's too bad.
Sorry, my bad. One, two, three, four, five.
It's got a nice pic.
Did you want something? Wait a minute. No.
Great.
That is
It's been a long day.
Hey, Christy, can you tell me if you can hear us on Zoom?
Yes.
Thank you. Looks like we've got a working meeting then. Hey, committee. Um, would it be all right, Karen, John?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm afraid to touch anything. I want to mute this. Would it be okay with you guys if I allowed the little people, the community playground to go first?
Of course.
So she doesn't have to sit through a bunch of stuff, because I think.
I
actually
think we
some of
should
our
put
new
her
bit-
through that, actually.
might
It's
take
just
some-
part of the process. You have to.
The committee okay with that? Is the committee okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. He said maybe. I'll shoot him.
And then what happens? You turn into a, what happened, toad or something? Oh. Ooh.
It's, you have to make like 75% of the meetings or something. Third Tuesday of every month.
Would you like some?
Would you like some?
I don't know. Are you sure you want to, you want to have any rum before the presentation?
That's right. Like,
In case there's too much rum in it, you don't want to You don't want to slur your words. Okay. It is 7:03. I'm going to call the meeting to order. What?
Second. To get second, to take a vote on call to order. Go ahead, sorry. Let's go.
We're already out of control and we haven't even started.
Is anyone on Zoom? Do we have?
Right. First order of business, oral communications. Have anybody from the public who wishes to make oral communications?
Is there another?
Sure,
person?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Christy.
Do you have Hawthorns on the agenda? I haven't even looked at it yet.
Do I
Otherwise-
want Hawthorns?
Hawthorns.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll wait then. Thank you.
Can I ask who 650-678-7562 is? Could you identify yourself?
Caroline Vertonghen. Thank you, Patty.
Oh, thank you.
One other thing, have we formally requested a certain number of parking places for the soccer field? Is that on the,
Define formal. We have told them between 30 and 35. But to my knowledge, there's been no contract discussions, so there's been no formal input, no.
so I guess I would request that the town ask for formal input to get our parking places back for our recreation field. And I still am for a nicer restroom for our recreation fields rather than an outhouse.
Patty, just to follow up on the parking spots, I thought that we had discussed that and did it just not get into as a formal recommendation because they were still discussing the parking lot issues? Remember?
We've discussed it, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but there's been no process with the town as to initiate, to my knowledge, to initiate a new contract, which would then ask us for input.
Okay. I did, as a member at large at the finance committee, bring this issue up, that that contract needed to be revisited. And I pointed out what we had to pay for parking for the town picnic versus what the contract with Ford was, as well as with the Rosati's one.
Okay, so we have parking on the agenda, so
Oh, I'm
can we
sorry.
just move
Yep.
along?
Yep.
I guess the other issue that I have is wondering if you've seen any contracts that bring in money revenue for rented out recreation land by the town.
Recreation grant,
Land.
First of all,
oh, land.
still talking about parking. at
Um,
Rosati, so it's on the agenda. I think we should just.
Well,
discuss it.
it's Ladera Oaks and it's more
Well-
than that.
Ladera Oaks isn't recreation land.
Right.
It's
not
town.
parking.
I mean, it's town-owned land. So,
The
Um,
town-owned recreation land and renegotiating contracts that bring in revenue for that land. You once voted on it in this meeting and then we didn't hear what the outcome was.
we voted on what, Christie? I'm sorry.
I think you voted on something regarding a recommendation to increase the rental fees for at least the parking area and possibly the Ladera area.
So we did not vote on anything. We agreed that we would recommend to the town that they revisit the parking fees for Ford Field. That's not a decision that we have, which we have done. We've communicated that to the town. And I have an update on that later in the
Okay.
agenda.
Thank you.
So let's get to that when we get to the agenda. Thank you, Christy. Anybody else? Okay, so who has their hand up there? Go ahead on the phone.
I do have my hand up, Caroline Vertonghen.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Did you have-
so, I know we discussed this before. I was hoping that you had an update. The Priory, Woodside Priory, and the schools, the public schools, in previous years would allow AYSO and other sport events take place on their fields. My concern was, first of all, I don't know what the status is for the PVA, for the Portola Valley School District, and if that's still allowed, that AYSO and other sports clubs. We in the past used them as CYSO, and we were able to do that, but I don't know if that's still the case. You had an interest in, having an infant or a recreation park for infants. I know that was a request from one of the residents. It wasn't the same request as what was on your agenda last time, but is Ormondale open to allowing residents to use that play park during the weekends? And then, of course, my concerns was Woodside Priory, that park, the baseball field used to be open, and then suddenly 2 years ago, Portola Valley paid for a fence and enclosed it. We don't know how this happened and why, and I don't think that is abiding by the agreement that we had once Woodside Priory was expanding their campus and their student ratio. So I know that you were going to contact Patrick, but I don't know if you have any updates on that.
So that is part of the agenda down under discuss PV recreational facility opportunities. One of the line
Oh,
items
okay,
that we
great.
had under that was to look at specifically the Priory and the school grounds for ability to use their fields back and forth. So we do have an update that later.
Thank you.
In the meeting. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're
Thank-
welcome. Okay, any other comments from the public? Okay. Approval of minutes, Tuesday, October 24th. Do I have any amendments to the minutes?
Merry
Would-
Christmas.
Was it helpful to send them out early? Got everything out of the way. All right, do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Aaron, motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Back at the record show it was unanimous. Okay, moving right along. Welcome. Hi, no worries. What we thought we would do is ask you to go next. Normally we do new business, but that could take a while and I don't want you to have to sit here. So if you're ready, we're ready. Now, I think you're probably going to have to come up and speak into one of the microphones. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you want to maybe sit on the end. You have to speak into one of these microphones.
Does the podium?
Yeah, I do.
Does the
You want me,
podium
you
work?
want to tell me when to show it or?
See if it works.
Yes, you may. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
That's not working, but is there a button somewhere? Switch?
I think you have to sit down maybe next to Karen. On Zoom, we're changing the agenda slightly. We're going into A of old business first. to allow our visitors to be able to leave after they make the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I would like to say again, thank you for letting us present. We really took your feedback to heart and went to work after our last proposal. It was great. I was able to, in kind of just figuring out how to get the most community outreach in a limited amount of time. I started an online petition and I received 100 signatures in favor of the Magical Bridge Playground update. So that was great. Along with those 100 signatures, I took my older two kids to the farmer's market last week, or week before last, because last week was Thanksgiving. And we just talked to people at the park. It was a beautiful day. It was the perfect day to go down there. I had a few questionnaires that I just kind of asked if people would fill out. Do you live in Portola Valley? I love the community. Just all in favor of kind of the Magical Bridge supporting. I got 3 wonderful people to fill out questionnaires for me while chasing their kids around. But I was able to talk to just a lot more people in our community while I was there. There was a birthday party going on at the library, so I went over there and I talked to grandparents. I talked to people who were in town, like not from Portola Valley, from out of town, grandparents visiting their grandkids. We talked about what people would want. I think the water feature was a huge thing that, really the community would love to have back there at the park. So all in all, I think, we've just I've gotten great feedback. Talking to friends and friends of my mother-in-laws at Roberts and Bianchini's and Ace Hardware and, wherever I am, I'm just kind of asking people about it and sharing about it. And I think that there's all in all a lot of excitement from those who I've spoken to. So that was the community outreach part that was asked for. And then we can go now to the design piece, because I think that was another thing that really just kind of seeing what would this look like? What does this mean for our community? How do we make it fit Portola Valley, and the natural landscape that we love so much about our town and our culture here. So here's the presentation.
Well, thank you. Any questions about the first part with the input? And I actually, we printed up the change.org comments. There's some really wonderful comments from your community that I think the main thing is, when you go to a Magical Bridge, what we want to say is it won't be that huge multicolored magical bridge that you might find in other communities. It will be just designed to accommodate all families in the Portola Valley way. So we did, and I don't know if Michelle is on the line, but if she is, she's our design architect that created. This is really one of many things that's possible. We took a look at the site. We spoke with Howard. We talked about the trees. I mean, we don't remove trees. We honor the landscape. We make sure that it fits your demographic topography and community flavor, if you will. So we just did a very quick, this is what's possible. If we get the green light to go forward, of course, there'll be a lot more thoughtfulness to it. But this was, we felt, a good start, which really identifies the different ways that Magical Bridge creates the spaces that are meaningful to reflect all those different milestones our brains enjoy, whether you're young, middle-aged, older, or anywhere in between. We have the ability to add some play for tots. Specifically, we always have a kindness corner, and that's a place where we can enjoy, different local artists and so on. And there's some swinging, really honoring that beautiful natural environment with the Play Creek, the wonderful redwoods that you have. I mean, we have an image of sort of a tree walk that could be above it. I mean, it really is, it's not a huge space, which makes it very compact, but it is a space that would be welcoming rather than just to little people, to all people. And a lot of your residents and families were very much in favor of it. And ideally, after our meeting today, if we do get the okay and the green light, it would allow us to do a little bit more of a deeper dive on the design, but it's really a wonderful space to do something, and then it's a beautiful companion to what you already have here, and would bring community together in an even more magical way.
Yeah, I think we have, well, as you can see, there were some examples that Michelle was able to give. If we scroll down, there we go. I think a big piece that the community, and I agree with you, Julie, I think we all do, is really keeping the feel of it Portola Valley-esque, which embraces nature and natural landscapes. So on, the left, you can see the arbor kind of archway walkthrough. A lot of native plants would be included in the design, and just kind of those natural tones. I think, again, this is just a very, very early phase. This is just to give you guys an idea of kind of what it could be.
Yeah, just know, because I think you're hitting on the primary feedback I think you're gonna get, and I actually received it without even asking. People just came up at one thing. I guess they had heard about it or whatever. And the way it was said, right, so is that it'd be wonderful, but it's not Portola Valley, right? It's too colorful and it's too plastic. That's the image, I think, that is, in fact, I think when you just look at things. So I do think that's, again, you're on the right, in my view, the right issue. Right? The question is this Portola Valley? It should not.
Yeah, so I think to answer your question, in my opinion, I would ask that same person probably, what does that mean to them, right? To me, Portola Valley means kids playing together outside at our playground, grandparents being able to do that as well, kids of any ability or disability. To me, Portola Valley is like just a true sense of community and joyfulness when we're down here at the town center. That's why we wanted to include pictures of what we could bring that would be a little different to Portola Valley with the natural plants. You see the climbing dome, that would be a climbing zone. And in the photograph, these are just pictures from online, but the manufacturer of that, there's always options where could we get it in brown? Could we get it in, neutral tones? This is just kind of to give you guys a picture of, you see we have the wood bridge and structure around the tree there.
The comment, because you certainly didn't hear anything along those lines, only because perhaps the families you talked to had been to Magical Big Playground. And it's very possible when you say plastic, I mean, we are vehemently against plastics. And as we said, these are just what's possible sort of photos from, some of them are Magical Bridge, some of them are stock photos. It's just to show the possibilities. And what we're trying to underscore is that we understand the beauty of. So if you do come across anybody that makes comments or questions that we can help address, we would be happy to. And we are 100%, we do not do what we call cheap and cheerful. Those are not our programs. That's kind of why we exist, because those are not welcoming to all abilities and ages.
I have some questions. First of all, on your outreach, out of those 102 signatures, how many are Portola Valley residents?
That's a good question. I could go through, I mean, the majority are, I would say.
Well, how did you do the outreach? I know you put something together, but I didn't see anything on the PV forum.
I did not post on PV Forum. I don't have PV Forum personally, so I put it on change.org is the platform I used. I emailed it to about 40 of my friends, my mother-in-law's friends, my father-in-law's friends, just to reach different demographics in Portola Valley. I had a couple friends share it on Facebook, which I don't have any social media because my husband's in privacy. So I had friends share it for me on Facebook. So we went to different, platforms like that to reach the community. But that's also why I wanted to be down, the farmer's market. And I have a daughter at Carillon. I you know, again, I'm on the board for AYSO. I'm very connected in our, you know, in our town as far as elementary, middle school aged kids and preschool aged kids. But my mother-in-law has helped me, Chrissy Fleming, she's a dear friend. She's really in support of it and has helped me as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think that as we move forward, it's really going to be how many residents. So if we get 1,000 signatures, but most of them don't live in Portola Valley, obviously that won't carry as much weight as 100 from Portola Valley.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And then my question on the design, and forgive me, but this goes beyond what the existing park, the park is, right? So for instance, the Kindness Corner is a little area between this schoolhouse and the bathrooms. And then what about the tot zone? Is that, I just am having trouble figuring out where the existing boundaries are of the playground and how much it expands out.
And this was really sort of a what's possible design. It does stay within the parameters. And so what you'll find is that when we do create our playgrounds, we often do put items and experiences between the trees. And, so it is possible to keep things as they are, but perhaps there's a kindness corner, there's another experience for people to enjoy. So it doesn't go beyond your existing perimeter, but the way we've used the space, it sort of makes it feel a little bit more expansive. But again, really I think our visit today was as a result of last time when we came, and it was really John's request to go into the community a little bit and then also, well, what might it look like? So clearly this is not the design or maybe even close to what will be the design. But I think with your approval to move forward and then be able to go deeper into the community and ask the questions. And there's a million other sort of unknowns at this time, but really it's just, we're here to sort of explore what's possible. And because our communities, when you talk about Portola Valley, people move to Portola Valley for certain reasons, for the tranquility, for the natural, for the quiet, and but then there's families also, and so it just gives them an opportunity to already sort of build on what you've started with this lovely community center and offer a space that sort of meets today's family needs, as opposed to perhaps a playground that was okay for little kids a long time ago. We're delighted Katie found us. We're here and we support it.
Yeah. So again, just to piggyback on that, I think our goal today is to, like Olenka said, get your endorsement so that we're able to take it to the town and really dig in deeper. Because this is, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and we're willing to do it as long as you guys, would allow us to take that next step.
So what would the next, so I just want to clarify Karen's last question. My understanding is the current playground within the fence is only where the climb zone is, the swing zone, and like half of the top zone. Is that correct?
I'm not even sure the tot zone is within the.
I said half of it.
Half of it, because the wall goes here, there's picnic
Oh.
tables under there.
I think it's surrounded by the sidewalk there. Is that correct? That's correct?
Michelle on the Zoom today? Michelle, are you on the Zoom?
Yeah, I'm here.
You want to say a few words about that? Oh, hi, this is Michelle, we're talking about the plan, and I know this is very conceptual, and did you want to say a few words about the spaces you?
Yeah, the overall boundary was expanded a little bit where the kindness corner is, a little bit on the side of the tot zone that's kind of wrapping the historic schoolhouse, and slightly where the spin zone is. But we can make all of those spaces wonderful too if you want to keep within that existing fence also. The more space we can get, the more amenities we can offer, but we can shrink it back down and make everything a little bit more condensed too, and still have a really high play value.
Okay, so this is just where I'm having trouble just seeing it. So the imaginative zone and the sensory zone are all within the existing fence. They all fit.
Yeah, the imaginative zone is underneath the tree grove. The sensory zone is kind of where the existing covered area is and where the water feature used to be. The swing zone is about where the climbing feature is, and the climb zone is maybe like where the hill is now.
Okay, thank you. And then when you're putting together a playground like this, are all these zones necessary, or are there certain ones that are more important than others? Just a question. Nothing.
That's a great question. And you know, what we have done is we sort of have tracked all those developmental milestones that we all benefit from. Certainly, we would say, you know, things like swinging are very critical to all of our brains, even as we age and progress with memory. That helps that with memory.
Go out there
Well,
immediately.
we all do. So I will say we have a lot of swinging for you know, people like us. Well, not you, over 40 maybe. But anyway, the point is, yes, all of these can be adjusted. I mean, the kindness corner. This is what comes out of the design iterations that we do with community, and we would sort of offer our recommendations, maybe your community. So you know, I want a smaller one. You know, spinning, for instance, the motion of spinning, what that does to our bodies is similar to what happens when we take rid of. A lot of our kids have ADHD, and so when they spin and they go onto a playground between school and recess and stuff, and you can get that feedback, that helps them. So you'd be surprised how many different ways motion and retrieve, you know, getting away from the noise and the community connections are reflected in this design. The reason we do this is because the structures don't offer much of the feedback, and those plastic structures that you're talking about, that's why we're in business, really, because those are legally acceptable by most standards, but they don't really. So good question, excellent question, and we will.
I'm
hopefully
not
get to
saying that I just was curious.
Right, no,
as
it's a great
to-
question. Yeah, no, we do have the ability to sort of make smaller ones, like we did one in Curiosity, I think we mentioned, and we didn't get everything in there, but we did get the hallmarks, which was spinning, the retreat, kind of a quieter space for those that get overstimulated. We don't have an imagination. And there's ways we can incorporate the experience without, you know.
And
Can I
what
add
is
one
the-
comment on there?
Sure.
I think that one thing that is different from your typical playground too is they're so very climbing heavy. Like often there's a big climber and then a swing set, and you'll see the climb zone is a small percentage of all of the other opportunities, and that really just reaches out and offers more play opportunities to a more diverse group of people that comes to visit.
Thank you. So what is the actual base of the playground? Is it AstroTurf? Is it, what is it?
Well, the point.
Don't say after.
That's plastic, so it can't be AstroTurf.
Do you want me to take that one too?
Natural, sure, you can answer that one too, sure.
So a lot of the playground surfacing anywhere where we're sliding or climbing or swinging or spinning needs to be impact attenuation. It needs to be soft. So the main materials that people use that are also inclusive for mobility devices and for strollers and however you might want to get in and out are poured in place rubber, that fake turf, which is you know, a synthetic material but looks more like turf, and then rubber tiles, and all of those hit the safety rating that we need, but also are fully accessible. And then that's kind of the turquoise area that we have under the climb and the swing zone. And then the other areas have a little bit more variety in the kind of surfacing, whether it's chips or whether it's planting, or because the imaginative zone, we're thinking of something elevated like a decking area. So underneath it could look and feel really natural where the trees come down and the roots are, but it doesn't have to be that rubber surfacing like the physical play areas do.
I was just curious. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, just to
other
be clear,
question.
did you say there is I'll call it artificial turf or rubber or anything like that, and loose kind of rubber as opposed to maybe mats? Is there artificial turf on this included in this?
The turquoise color that's under the climb and the swing zone will needs to be one of the impact areas. the loose rubber isn't really widely used anymore because it's not a very it wasn't a very effective material. So it will probably be more like a poured in place or an artificial turf or a tile surface underneath those areas.
Yeah, the loose rubber, I feel like playgrounds have come a long way even from the loose rubber days. I remember that stuff is not.
Yeah. And so, you keep saying, you have said, you want to go take it to the next step. So what would the next step look like?
Well, the next step would be with your unanimous enthusiasm, we would be able to then move to the city council level to provide some information. And again, we understand the funding constraints and so on. So there's some things that we will be willing to do with the private partnership with the foundation. So if and when that becomes a project that is approved, it won't be a financial implication ideally if we wave our magic wands and do what we do. So we're trying to move it to the next level, which is really to allow the city council to weigh in and reflect on whether this will be the type of design or if there's some other design, getting their sort of mandate to move forward in the design details and the community outreach, and then be able to come forward with a proposal for a possible new play area along with the cost. And it moves very slowly, but we have to start with this step and see how you feel, and your questions have been very thoughtful. And the good news is we have a very enthusiastic community member that has found families that share her enthusiasm. And then here we are, a very mission-driven foundation that when we discover people like Katie that really are bringing something wonderful into the community, we really will do what we can to be supportive.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee before I open it to the public?
I'm still kind of on the same.
Wait, we're not at
issue.
thoughts. We're still on questions. So, okay.
That's not, it's related. You have down here under new business, town center master plan update. And my question is, well, obviously there has to be a tie-in if there's something going on with that. So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there when I saw this on the agenda.
So we had a Zoom call with Howard, and it was great to talk to him and kind of get his feedback as well. And we asked Howard if there was in the town plan, like a timeline for when, I think this was brought up at our last presentation, if there was a timeline to when the playground would be, renovated, and there was not. So.
Actually, I think I asked the people who were involved in that early, and
Mhm.
it was some pretty large number. It's like 50 years or something, was put out there.
Yeah.
Somewhere between, I'll call it 25 and 50 years. So it seemed well in the future still.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think
which
that's
is
the
why we're
driver.
coming to, we're coming to you guys without the financial burden of having this, pressure on our town.
Yeah. And that's partly why it's on the agenda. I mean, we have other master plan things we need to think about as well. So, okay, I'm going to open it to the public. Christy, go ahead.
Yeah, you all, it looks like a great plan. I'm not seeing it attached to this agenda. So in the future, could you attach it for the public to look at as well? So this first picture, I'm not seeing the age groups, but I believe in the past you had clear ideas of what zones were for what age groups. Can that be added to this first picture? I guess that's a question. So, but maybe I'm not seeing the whole presentation because it looks like it goes down, but I can't see it yet. Does it scroll down? Oh, there we go.
May I tell you, is it Christy?
Yes.
Christy, it's Alenka with Magical Bridge. You know, we are very, very keen on not assigning age groups to any of our outdoor playgrounds because we know that many people have different developmental ages and different chronological ages. And so that's why we do stay away from the plastics because plastics typically are little kids, right? And we have kids of all ages, some kids that are 6 and 7 that are like 6 and 7. And then we also have people that might enjoy the playground at different developmental stages and also adults like us. So we do not assign any age restrictions, which means all ages and all abilities. We really mean that.
Oh,
So it's-
that makes
It's
sense.
intentional.
Yeah, thank you, because I think the first time we talked about it, it was a very low age we were looking to accommodate. I think it was 3 and below or
Well,
4 and
that's-
below.
That was different, Christy. That was a different proposal,
Oh.
We're
Oh,
looking
but
to
okay.
related,
see
so to speak.
Little
Okay.
People's Park to be all people's park.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well,
Okay, so-
thank you for this. It looks wonderful.
And Christy, we just got the presentation today, so in the future, we will keep that in mind. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, sorry, 7562, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I think this is a wonderful project. To the presenters, I was hoping that at least you have some kind of idea what the cost is. And if I was not sure through the dialogue if you guys are willing to fund this yourself through fundraising, or what is the expectation and what are you expecting from the town to financially support this? As you know, our town is in a difficult financial situation, and many projects have been on hold and have not been realized. So now you're coming with a new project. And even though it's wonderful, we want to know for the town itself, you know, what you are requesting from the town. Thank you.
So we've covered this before. We've made it clear that there is no town funding available to do this. So they are going forward with the expectation that they would try to raise private funding to do this. So thank you for your comment. Rita, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my comment. I've utilized the one in Palo Alto over at Mitchell Park, and it is just absolutely wonderful, the Magic Bridge playground over there. But for Portola Valley, you know, when you look at the percentage of kids that are at the Little People's Park in that playground that are actually from or live in Portola Valley, it's a high percentage of you know, families from other locations. And I don't know if this group is located in Portola Valley. I missed the beginning of it. But with the housing element not finalized, you know, I just feel that any town land, even a beautiful playground, is not guaranteed to stay in its place right now until that is actually finalized and approved. And so just want to keep that in mind. And if we can get a percentage somehow, if there is a survey that you can let me know about, what's the percentage of kids that are actually from Portola Valley that utilize the playground. It's a great playground that we currently have. That would be helpful probably for you know, just future getting money from people within the community. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, Rita, are you guessing that a large percentage of the kids who use the playground today are not PV residents?
Yeah. You know, I mean, my daughter is 13 now, but for a long time when we would be in the playground, most families were not from Portola Valley, not in Portola Valley.
That's interesting.
And,
I can't imagine families driving that far for our.
They
little
do. It's a beautiful
tiny
place
playground.
that we have. And even for our fields and, you know, like for the sports teams, it's not a high percentage of Portola Valley residents on those different teams that are using our fields. And that's why I know it's been part of the discussions on, utilizing or not ruling out using those lands in discussions about the housing element. That's why I'm,
Yeah, well, we're very
bringing that.
aware of we're very
Yeah.
aware of the land situation.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Okay,
thank you for your
thanks.
comment, Rita. Okay, pulling it back to the committee. Christy, are you dropping your hand or do you?
Oh,
have
can I
something?
make one more comment? I just want to say that the playground is where I met the friends and we did a play group, and these are friends that I now have into my 20s. I mean, into my, my kids are in their 20s, but
I was gonna say,
yeah, my
Christy,
kids
you've,
are in their 20s. No, my son's
you-
turning 30 this year. But
okay.
that playground gathered moms and kids for a lifetime. So thank you for
Okay.
working on it.
Thank you. You look very well.
We're gonna
You
recruit
look very
as
well
our-
for 20.
One of our kindness
Um,
ambassadors. You sound like you're right up our alley. And you're right, it is, I just want to interject. It should be a place for community to meet. It isn't, our playgrounds are not just for kids. They are for the teens to be able to come and move and swing and volunteer and, interact with the community. And it is for our older adults that are also feeling somewhat lonely at times. Not everybody's out active. So it does engage community in a very different way. So I do appreciate what Christy's saying, because there are many people, unfortunately, that don't benefit from outdoor.
I think we should all go for a swing once in a while.
Thank you, Patty.
You're very welcome. Get your mind out of the gutter there, Cindy. Okay, bringing it back to the committee. Okay, now it's time for comments and thoughts.
I'll go.
Okay, since I cut you off.
Okay, so I personally really like the concept. I personally don't think that the playground can last more than 20 to 25 years. I've never heard of looking out further than that, but I do want to take to heart that we need to know, and not from that other non-residents are using it, is just really better understanding the feedback from our residents, and that we want them, first and foremost, it's them. It's certainly open to everybody. So my question is really, how do we, you can go back and look at how many residents that was, but is there a way that we can utilize the forum or other Portola Valley channels, the schools, to get that feedback? And for instance, with the pickleball courts and usage, we went out and asked for feedback and had a meeting on that. So I'm just throwing that out there. Is that a next step for us?
Talk into the microphone if you don't mind.
That's something that's part of every public project. And so we feel it with Katie's family, the generous sort of first step, and just even the offer that we will partner to find the funding. So it really becomes not a financial responsibility, if you will, but we definitely understand that it needs to have a lot of community input. And so that's where we're looking forward to moving to that next step, so that we can really start in earnest, taking a look. We did this sort of very low key because we didn't want to create the sense that this project is really underway when we haven't gotten very far along with the approvals. But that is a very important part of the process, of course, and it will reflect, and you'll have all the reports of all the families that were connected with and their feedback. So that would be ideally part of the next step. So I just want to sort of acknowledge how incredibly generous it is to be able to have a family that stepped forward here and says, we're willing to sort of help get this on its way. So
Would
we'd
you
like to
even-
be helpful.
Would you even think of going out here and, engaging the families that are using the playground today?
Yeah, so that's, so I have been doing that, and talking to
okay.
people, and so I've really heard nothing but support. And in my recent experience, I mean, definitely there are people and families that come from, Woodside or Menlo Park to, hang out at our playground, which is beautiful. But all in all, I would say mostly I get, families that I recognize or know or
Yeah.
coach.
I gotta believe a playground upgrade would sound very enticing.
Yeah.
But, okay, sorry. Karen, are you through your comments?
I'm done. I'm in support in moving it forward in the appropriate manner.
Okay, John, next.
So, yeah, first of all, this is meant in the context of how to get it done, right? Not kind of what's wrong with it or anything, because let me just give you a couple of, and we may have done one before, but of experiences we've had where a lot of work was put in and we weren't successful getting something done. And actually one, just to kind of key on the last one, you said only heard good things, where I actually think we need to find the people who are not going to say good things, right? And not have them show up late in the process, right? Like one, this was a while ago now, but about 10 years. I mean, by the way, the town center was renovated 15 years ago. So when they say even 25, it's still in the future. But the Priory wanted to put artificial turf, right? Replace the field. And they went through the ACC. They did massive amount of work. I mean, they had an architect, they did everything. It finally got to the town council vote and was voted down. And it was months, maybe years of work put into it. And it was because it was artificial turf. And that was just all there was to it. We could have just, skipped everything and kind of, I think it was out there. This is the thing. This is what I want to get to, right? I want to kind of get to the known, right? The known kind of position of the town and figure out what will work, right? Another one was one we worked on here, which is around dedicated pickleball courts. And I think what happened there was just that when we was into the town council, they hadn't seen it or they hadn't been able to internalize it to a point where they were willing to vote positive. So I think that another element of this, there's the community, and also I think there's going to be an element of getting the town council, at least getting enough understanding of where they are. And so that they're not just they're not seeing a presentation, like sort of like our first time. It's like, they're not going to just vote, see it once and vote.
Exactly.
Right?
I understand that. Yeah.
So, we can figure out what that process is, because you can, town council members can give their personal feedback, but they can't tell you what the position of the town is because they're a committee, right? So, but still, we could probably get some, and I think this is significant enough that we need to get some more individual kind of feedback and get somehow work it so they can internalize what's going on and that they also know, not just at that time, but they know that it's been really kind of gotten a lot of feedback from
I agree. Yeah.
right? And one more on by that, I actually think there's some people we can identify already that are influencers, I'll say major influencers in terms of driving, ensuring that the vision of the town is maintained. That means. And so I think we could kind of figure out how to get also not just kind of the broad, because you'll just get emails, but also figure out who would be the ones that might be rallying opposition.
Right. I really appreciate that feedback. We started, this is very sort of under the radar, but once we ideally leave tonight with your approval to move it to at least the next level, then perhaps you can put something in your local publications and within the community, just to say that we are exploring something new. And that's when you'll hear from people that are passionate one way or the other. But we haven't done that yet because we wanted to honor the fact that we haven't even gotten the approval from this group to even move to the next one. But that is all very important. And it's, yes, absolutely important to find those people that might be enthusiastic, although we usually don't find too many people, but we are very open to it and welcome the feedback.
John, I thought you were an influencer.
Yeah,
Never
positive
mind.
influencer.
Lindsay, do you have any comments, thoughts? Yeah. Okay, Cindy?
Yes, there are close to 5,000 residents in Portola Valley. You're going to need more than 100 signatures on the petitions. And so I think definitely, you've got to go to the PD forum. You've got to do a good solid survey asking, are you resident or how, do you have children? How often do they go? You know, I mean, I think we need a lot of data. You know, I'm very
More media
data
data, yeah. Town council's gonna need data.
but I love the Magical Bridge. I often see, I mean, I play pickleball at Mitchell Park sometimes. and it's very, very nice.
So I want to thank you for what you've done up to now. Katie, you're really driving this and I truly appreciate it. You can tell that there's a passion there. And a lot of things happen in Portola Valley when people are passionate. So thank you for doing that. Thank you to both of you, well, three of you actually. I also am supportive. I do appreciate the comments and the questions that have come up tonight. You've already said this, there's more work to do. I think it's a good start. And I think if I'm hearing from the committee that in general, we are supportive, but we're kind of unsure about what the next step would be. I mean, my concern, Sarah's not here tonight. She's our town council liaison. And I know you've talked to Sarah quite a bit, and I have too. I mean, her concern, which is a valid concern, which I share, is the town is in a very difficult situation right now. The funding, priorities, resources, et cetera, et cetera. And whether the town council has the bandwidth, for lack of a better word, to even get this on the agenda anytime in the next, and I'm saying like 2 months, I don't have no idea. So I think if I was going to propose another next steps would probably be for me to talk to Sarah and or Sharif, who's our new town manager. And he is kind of the gatekeeper, for lack of a better word, for things going to the town council. And he would have a better idea about, do they have, you know, their priorities and when could this come up? And is this the right time for it to come up? Or what would we need to pull together for it before it would come to the town council? So I think we've got some work to do. But I think what you're hearing is we're supportive. We think it's a fascinating idea. I personally would think, you know, an upgrade there is, and I don't even play there, but it, you know, would be welcome, but just a lot of work to do.
Pickleball courts.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Patty. I'm sorry.
So anyway, that would be my kind of summary. Council, do you have any concerns with that? Do you agree with that?
Well, let me go through that again, because I think we should get it out on the TV. And if you aren't on it or don't want to do that, I actually think one of us can as well. I do think we should make sure we've kind of got Sarah and sort of understanding before it went out.
Well, yeah, I don't want it to go on the forum before.
Yeah, especially because if it comes from one of us, it's coming from the Parks and Rec Committee as opposed
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
resident.
Yeah, I don't want anything going out that says Parks and Rec
Right.
proves this.
No, just wanna get feedback, but you know.
Yeah, feedback, yeah.
But you know, that would have to be well constructed. as
Yes, that'd be, yeah.
well.
I could work with Sarah and Sharif to help you with that.
Well, he was at Los Saltos. If we may, work with you on the messaging, just to make sure that it doesn't get misrepresented either as a one-time presenter.
Would a next step be something like hopping on a call with Patty and Sarah?
Let me talk to them first. And I will reach back out to you and tell you what the next steps would be.
Okay, great. You'll continue to be our.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I will open up the TV.
Great.
Well, I wanted to say in closing, so we do work at a lot of communities. We can't take on all the projects that we're being invited to be part of, but really you have a gift with Katie and her passion, the generosity and her willingness to do this, you know, with the hope that there will be the private funding. So in the end, when all is said and done and we gather again, I do believe that if we can do this, it will be a wonderful addition to your community that you'll be proud of. Remember these early conversations. And I know it can be a little bit unnerving because it's changing, but we promise you that we will honor your vision for the cities, for the city community, as well as what your community will.
Great. All right. Thank you for your time.
Not just the messaging, but the visuals. are
Yeah.
gonna be really critical.
That, I was just gonna mention that is to, I mean, this design is great, but we need to make it look like Portola Valley. So colors, yeah, exactly.
also again a next step,
Yeah, that's, but even before the messaging goes out, because the first impression is what is the lasting impression.
Yeah, so we don't think this is gonna impress anybody yet, but this is just a what's possible conversation.
Yeah. We need to manage messaging very carefully or this will, you know, go over the deep end. So let's just make sure I'm the single point of contact for now. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Going back to new business. That was the first agenda. I think it was important, so I think it was important. Okay, we have 3 items of new business. Merry Christmas. Discuss options for Court 3, which we talked about putting on the agenda from the last meeting. I wanted to update you on a Jellic Ranch tour that I took, which was interesting. And I kind of put this on here because I thought it was a natural progression from what we just talked about and some of the other Parks and Rec things that we have going on. And quite frankly, something that Howard and I talked about, and Sarah and I talked about, which is, you know, how does this all fit into the master plan? You know, and do we have other priorities that we need to think about? And who would own a master plan update? But I'm getting ahead of myself. So you want to take those in order?
I would defer to your recommendation on how, if they flow together, which comes first.
Well, they all kind of fit into C. So why don't I start with the Jellic Ranch tour? Because that's the shortest, hopefully. Dana Breen organized a tour of Jellic Ranch for, actually, she sent it out to all the committee chairs. Evidently, it is being put up for sale. And the current owners, and I'm spacing on their names, would prefer to sell it to the town. And so what Dana was doing was having us tour the property to potentially brainstorm how we as a town would use the land. Now, before you get excited, there's a $20 million price tag. Town does not have 20 million. But Dana was trying to get interest in, you know, let's get some private funding together. You know, we can do this. Think of all the things we could do with what is it? I think it's 13 acres, 14 acres, something like that. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property.
What are all those things?
Oh, for heaven's sakes, we
Somebody
could,
ever
we
do
could
it?
build housing, new courts. We could dog park, we could,
Sure.
well, it depends on the easements, but yeah. Well, I brought that up. I mean, certainly if there were restrictions, if they wanted, for instance, to keep the orchard, that would significantly, obviously, impact what you could put there. But, you know, they didn't bring up anything that would seem to indicate that there would not be significant pieces of land that would be available. But this is all hypothetical, right? I mean, you have to come up with 20 million.
You want to sell it to the town at market rates or?
You know what? I didn't get into that. Jenny Kavanaugh was there. I'm sure she was, I had her calculator going. So I just wanted to make you aware of it in case you hear about it. I was there. I did take a tour. It's a beautiful piece of land. We could use it for a lot of things, but it's got a hefty price tag. So it's on the other side of Springdown. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it goes all the way back, yeah. It backs up, yeah, so. Anyway, just FYI, there's nothing for any action there, just FYI.
I'm
Okay.
glad that the town even is being considered as a buyer.
I was surprised, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see it fall into some hands, but who knows if we haven't control of it. Anyway, okay, options for court 3.
Tennis. It should be made into a tennis court all and lead with the basketball backboard staying there because there's plenty of room to play basketball when no one's playing tennis. And since no one plays full court basketball on that all sports court, having a tennis net there permanently would not be a detraction to any of the basketball backboards. So the only lines that should be on there, there's a whole bunch right now. I think there's I don't know what they are.
There's
A lot of them.
Foursquare and tetherball.
That's it,
My son
tetherball.
actually looked at it and said, that's a tetherball court, which none of
Exactly.
us could figure out.
That should go and it should just be the
The poles or
basketball and the tennis line. I mean, that would make all the sense in the world. Then Corte Madera could have their 2 courts and it wouldn't displace all of the residents that play pickleball and tennis.
Right, that's,
Well, again, on that, as the tennis, we don't have to do anything to make it a tennis court, right? It was always a tennis court.
Correct.
no tennis.
There's just no
There's
net.
no
We just
tennis
need to
net
paint the
there.
lines and put it.
But it would
Have
be
to buy a
nice
tennis
to
net.
paint the lines and I bet money I could raise the funds to just have it painted.
I think it was the original design for it to be a tennis court. We probably have the tennis nets.
Oh, Howard can't find them. All the holes are there, all the posts, so we just have to buy the net, but
I'm
that's
pretty
the
sure
cheap
that
part.
yes, it was somewhere.
Yeah, they don't know. They misplaced.
And
The
isn't-
tennis-
aren't the lines already painted?
They are, but there's a lot of extra lines and tennis players hate all these
Sure.
extra lines. And if we just left the basketball and the tennis lines, it's pretty clean.
And the tennis players do not believe, Tracy notwithstanding, that the basketball hoops get in the way of the play.
They do not. The tennis players that play pickleball, they absolutely not.
I actually had a brief conversation with Tracy a while ago and she said, no, they can be used as for tennis, that they're,
She's changed her
I
mind.
mean, I think that makes perfect sense.
Would-
Yeah.
I maybe, this might be scope creep, but if we're gonna paint the tennis court, do we want to consider a lighter color of the pickleball lines, those bright yellow
We aren't
lines?
painting the 2 courts that exist, only.
I know,
court
I
3.
know. I'm saying if we're out there painting, but because that's also been an issue, the brightness of those yellow lines for tennis players.
You'd only have one court then that would have pickleball lines. They could play on court
could
number
play on
3 and
court
it wouldn't
3
have
all
any
the
pickleball
time.
lines.
Right, I understand.
Need to speak into the microphone, please.
So
Oh,
First,
by the, no, those are being.
private land.
Private land and they're being,
private land.
actually, they've been just, one of them has already been destroyed. The fencing's down and it's,
they've been doing some demolition over there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be unfortunately where those courts are directly across the street from houses.
How much is a tennis court? Net.
Oh, probably 2,000.
We've got it in the budget this year. Okay,
Is there any other alternatives that we come up with here? Because not pickleball, we're saying.
Not pickleball.
Is that because the nets would be?
Just no reason. I mean, we rarely need more than 8 nets. And I have systems now that allow us to cycle people very quickly on the big days.
Yeah.
I mean, do we need to get feedback if we do something?
John, are you thinking about the skateboard issue?
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that. Just the only reason I was thinking pickleball first was because pickleball was the new thing. And now we put in sports. Now we're putting the tennis court over the sports court, as opposed to just having put the pickleball on the all sports court. Now, the issue is, I think, is the impact on the basketball. Right?
Oh, right. Pickleball would really impact basketball. Basketball players are out there far more than tennis players. I mean, they're starting to play pickleball now.
There is the ramp, but nobody jumped on it. Right?
I had that one guy and nothing happened. Yeah,
Well, I think it'd be great to have one out there. But
nobody's screaming for it.
when it was there, people were using it. I thought I saw a fair number of people out there.
Saw a lot of them falling and crying.
That's really it.
Well, I think there's sort of what are some short-term, easy, low-cost solutions that solve some of our issues. And then thinking down the road, there has, the ideal situation would be separate courts for different purposes. But the housing element stuff has to go through and we have to see what's going on with land use on all of that. So what I would ask is there another place where a skateboard ramp could go?
There's no place. for
Parking
anything.
lot?
See,
Place for anything.
I just
How
don't
about-
see the
how-
demand
How
for
about
it.
in the Zotz lot? Just joking.
I don't want to solve a problem that's not there.
Pardon?
I just don't see the demand for it. I mean,
Right, yeah.
I don't want to create, I just don't see the demand. I know it might have been used when it was there, but it hasn't been there for, 3 years now?
Yeah.
And nobody's beaten down our door.
Did
And
anyone?
there are some local skateboard parks that are quite nice, so it's very,
They can go to Menlo Park.
Right.
yeah.
Did anyone write about it?
We had one guy who came a year ago.
He actually came for a different reason, though, right?
Yeah, he came for a different reason. He came to
He just-
oppose the pickleball courts. Okay, let's keep this meeting moving and we'll be here till midnight. Their proposal? We want to get more feedback? Do we want to?
What is the next step for that? How do we,
Oh,
do we go to
you know,
Howard?
Are you gonna do public comment?
Public comment.
Sorry, my reaction
sorry.
button is on.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
And my reaction button is gone off my computer for some insane reason. Well, like I mentioned earlier about the kid playground, if there can be a survey of Portola Valley residents, because that basketball court is actually the only public basketball court we have. There's a couple of private ones, but that's the only public one we have. And I've seen, like some parents look like they're over there playing pickleball or doing something else, or the little kids are in the park, and then the older kids are trying over in the basketball court. And if that's not there, there's no other place to contain the tweens except on the field. And I don't know if people remember the time when they had their tweens and other ages that they were looking out for at the same time. But and if you put things in that basketball court, then they wind up being hazards for kids that are playing in there. Like if there's stuff, even if you remove the poles or have poles there, it just adds to the, why play there. So it sounds like you guys are gearing up for some kind of survey for the kids in Portola Valley. I look forward to participating. Thanks.
Rita, can I, Rita, I don't
Yes.
I don't understand. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So there would be the basketball hoops stay up, and there'd be a tennis net so people can play half court basketball. When you say kids are playing in there, what are they doing?
Oh, they just seem to be hanging around in that
Well-
space. And
well-
and some are playing basketball. I've shot baskets there with Taylor over time, but not, and
Okay.
and she's
But
signing
what
up for
if-
her basketball team.
Okay, but when you say they're hanging around, are they not playing basketball? Are they just standing on the
Some are-
court and talking?
If they don't have a ball, they're just in there playing little games. And if they have a ball, they're playing with the ball. But if that is no longer there, or half of that court has a tennis court or a pickleball court, it would definitely take away from children being able to play there, because the adults are going to say, "I'm playing," and the
Okay.
kids will lose their opportunity.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Rita.
Thanks.
Okay, bring it back to the committee. What would you propose next steps? Do we want to do a survey? Do we want to ask for feedback?
I mean, I think that we could put something out on the forum that says that we are proposing that we put a tennis court, that the all sports court become a tennis court in
Again,
addition to half court basketball. And we're asking for feedback.
I like that. I mean, it just means putting a net there. I mean, we just have to be very clear that that's all we're doing is putting the net back. It was there.
It was designed, or was intended to be.
It was,
there.
it
I
was
don't think
designed
it's
for that.
Oh, Howard said it was. He said they had it. He didn't,
To find the net.
he lost it. He lost it.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, I will, we'll put some on the PV form and get some feedback.
Okay.
Okay, I'll draft something. Okay. Number C, I mean, maybe this isn't something we act on tonight. I would like to talk to Sarah about it further in context of the playground. Maybe talk to Sharif in context of what else the town is doing. But it's kind of hard for me to believe that we would move forward with a project like the playground without at least stepping back and looking holistically at the town center. Maybe we don't make any other decisions. I don't know. But I think there are a lot of residents who might ask that question. And I'm just throwing it out there. Cindy, did you have something to say?
I did, so I have a collection. I left one of them at home though. I have the first two town center plans. So the first one started in 2004 and it was done by the town itself. And a person by the name of Sharon Hanlon was the contact.
Oh, Sharon
Oh,
used
she
to
was
be
the
the
Town staff.
town
clerk.
and
Okay, so
clerk.
she was the one that took care of it before the 2008 rebuild, so they put together the master plan. And then the next time they did it was 2016, they had this master plan update. And the person they contacted then, I have it on another piece of paper at home, was the then director of planning. That'd be
Leslie,
something
Leslie-
Debbie, no, I think of Debbie. Look at Debbie, I'm pretty sure. I can get you that. But anyway, so, one of your questions was, is it time and who owns it? Well, planning owns it, the town planning director owns it. And is it time? I don't know if 7 years.
I'm not sure. I don't understand even the whole issue. Is the town council drives this? What does this have to do with, I mean, why are we even asking about the timing of it without, they would just be telling us the timing of it.
I think because we want to change things.
Because I just thought, yes, I was thinking that if we, it's hard to look at the playground without looking at the broader context of how it impacts the town center. I mean, the playground as it's currently designed, this is not the final design. So, does have a broader footprint than it has today. Is that the right decision? Don't know. Do we want to use that space for something else? Don't know. Do we want to take the opportunity to push for the dog park harder in the town center? Open question. Do we want to try and build another court? It's just the reason I thought about who owns it. And I agree it's the planning director, but it seems like a lot of the variables are Parks and Rec.
And that we should definitely have input into
We
that.
should definitely
Yeah.
be a significant stakeholder.
So it's about time now for them to
Well,
look at it.
yeah, I think
Every
that's
8
just,
years, it looks like.
Well, you have something, what changed in 2016, you know?
I can't tell what, no, because I don't have the original. I have the architectural plans. But I don't have the original master plan, just the update on it. It doesn't really say, it just gives a lot of data. You're welcome to look through it, it's fun.
I think we were involved. And what on the original in 2008, probably started 2004. I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
they started getting
it was a
collecting
massive
the data.
amount of work.
And they had tons of meetings and
Oh,
invited the
yeah.
public and they sent out postcards regularly.
And the charrettes, and they raised $20 million.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
I can't think what did.
It's probably just mine. But anyway, yeah, good to know when the next one is.
Christy, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I loved everything you just listed, and if this is the recreation committee, I don't think you need to take in the housing information. You just need to request what you think the town needs in the future, and then they can think about all that. I just loved everything you just listed, and I don't want you to back down not acting on anything, waiting for the other elements of the town, because this is the rec committee. So just want to give you a little encouragement to go for it.
Okay, thank you. So I'm kind of hearing, this isn't really an actionable line item tonight. I just kind of wanted to put it on everybody's, global. And I'll take it up with Sarah and or Sheree.
I mean, I think more broadly that with the housing element and the increase in population, that this should be addressed by planning and town council. And that Parks and Rec is an important element in it.
Yeah.
That's the way I would.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Howard said too. I mean, he said, it's not just town center, it's all town
Right.
owned lands. Yeah, I agree with that. Christy, is your hand still up or are you wanting to make something else? Nope, okay. All right, I'm moving on then.
This is good, doesn't have people.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
I
That's
can
my
do-
one little pet peeve, by the way, because you know, the dogs run on the soccer fields and the baseball fields, and they hadn't, I know some people love the open creek,
Don't get me started on the open creek.
but if that had been a performance lawn all the way out, it would have been as big as the soccer fields about.
And I'm not talking about Salsa Creek. I'm not- Okay, I'm moving along. Old business B, game night.
Okay, officially, trivia night is going to be Saturday, February 10th, 2024. And our budget of $1,500 has been approved. I have submitted the event forms. We've rented the community hall, and I think essentially the work will start happening in January. My question I have is, when should we start posting it? Should I do a save the date soon, or is there too much going on right now?
I wouldn't do it personally until January, but I think there's too much going on. But that's just me. I don't.
We put the date together. pretty- So,
Probably 2 months. in advance.
no, I don't think so. Mm-mm.
You'll have almost
Yeah.
6 weeks, I think, better
Yeah,
if you
It's
put it
to
in
do-
right
to
after.
do
the
it
first.
after. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I can still put something out and ask if people want to volunteer. It doesn't hurt. It just, I don't think it's going to get seen. So really starting the promotion in January is when we do it.
When would you open up? Are you gonna do the website again?
You know, we need to do all of that. Carrie Chin is out of town until early January.
But
So we
I said,
haven't-
are you gonna use the same process used last time?
John and I haven't discussed that, but I was assuming we would try to utilize as much as we can from the past and not reinvent the wheel.
I think it's Probably anything we need to do.
Some questions.
No, but even on that, there was a lot of work on that, and I have been taking a look at it, and I actually think you can literally take the same question and just change it just slightly, so that it's a different question.
Huh.
Like, you know, whatever.
Well, we have the template, so we just
Yeah,
need to
so it's
pop
like,
in
what
questions.
is, you
Yeah.
know, this river or something, just do different river. You know? What?
Do
I'll
you
tell
just-
a million
Oh,
questions
wait,
like
you
that.
can't,
Something about like the partridge family.
you
Okay,
can't
so
make
you
up
need-
new 7 deadly sins. I mean, there are only 7.
but you can't. That's the thing, 'cause
No, you can't.
7
something
wonders of the
different
world.
than- Exactly.
Okay,
It's,
Do you guys have a game
But
of trivial?
You
Anyway,
guys own
we,
this.
I think
Oh, yeah.
just know that that there'll be a lot more information after Christmas, but it's really easy to pop something in the forum for a save the date, and I'll start to see if we can get some volunteers.
it's buried in Grant's tomb.
there was a lot of unknowns. How many people?
You need to talk into the microphone.
We didn't know whether we were gonna have 10 people or 1,000 people.
How many did you have?
About 100. At 100.
Slightly less than 100.
And what do you
This is
need
just the right-
volunteers for?
Oh, set up,
Questions, set up,
takedown,
pour
pour,
drinks,
Oh, okay.
drinks.
Bartender?
bartender.
Yes, we did, we had 2.
No, that was my job, Cindy. Okay, the only caution I would, so our meeting in January is not until the 3rd week. So if you need something from this committee, you need to let us know offline, I guess.
Yeah, we have the budget.
Got the budget.
We have the subcommittee. So I think we're gonna more or less do all the same things.
Okay.
With
All right.
different questions.
Just let
of
us
course.
know if you need help.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, anything else on game night?
No,
Okay, moving right along. We never did a postmortem on Zots and the town picnic. Is there anything that we can remember that want to bring up?
So for Zots the Tots, my kind of recollection is, first of all, the start went very smoothly. Ever since we moved to hats from t-shirts, it's just incredibly easier because there's no sizes. We had to guess at how many, because there was 3 different types, right? There's visors, hats, and then youth. And we actually were dead on for the hats. You know, we had a fair number of extra visors. But we can account for that, next time. And I think that I've just seen more people using all of them more, and it might be as simple as kind of people like the white, right, color. It's you use it for pickleball and tennis.
There are 20 pickleball
Right.
visor people now.
Exactly. Right. So that was all good and everything. And I think the shutdown of the streets and the volunteers, all that I thought went well. Any issues at all. I think, I wasn't at the finish line, so but I think it's probably where we need to probably beef it up. I'll say, get more volunteers at the finish line. There's just a lot going on there with so many people flowing through at some at high speed or whatever. And also trying to do the medals and the trophies, right? So I'll just get, a few of the people that we had at the front.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue at the finish line still is the cyclists. We just can't slow them down, and we can't keep them on one side of the street. And it's just dangerous. Something's going to happen. So I just think we need to brainstorm still, keep brainstorming about
Yeah, we'll just
how to do that.
for sure. And again, I
effectively.
think more volunteers
More volunteers would
in
help.
the back end now,
Yeah.
especially because the front end is just simplified.
How many volunteers did you have last time?
So at the front, we have 5 or 6. In the back, there's only a few.
I had about 4 at the back, including Bill and Dave. Well, probably 5 or 6, including Bill and Dave.
But still, nonetheless.
but we could get more.
people
Yeah,
would really be able to drive. But then there's a lot along the way. Because shut down the street, but the 20 times. Ooh. But was really pretty well managed by bicycle pedestrians.
yeah, they took a bigger role this year, which was good.
Yeah.
And I want to continue that. So
We did have another same glitch with the popsicle or the ice. I really like the soft ice cream thing. It's just the guy was.
don't get me started. Don't get me started. Do
So,
not
it was-
wind me up.
Yeah, I know. So keep working on getting people who are confident. So
Was it a truck?
Do not get me started.
Well, the library truck is good.
that's what we thought. That's all there was. To this,
Don't
yeah.
get me started. I do not want to. I
Okay,
really
we're
don't
not
want to
going
talk about this. Makes me
So anyway, so
angry
then
every
at the
time I
town
talk.
picnic, you were there, I thought it all. went
Yeah, the
okay.
town picnic, other than the ice cream, went very well. I mean, no, well, we had one generator that went out and I had to climb into the maintenance yard to plug some things in.
It was the
But
electric, the extension cord though.
the extension cord, didn't have enough extension cords. I'm not sure how popular the band is. Karen did a great job of getting us a much better rate on the band, so maybe it's not a big deal. But I don't see a lot of people paying attention or hanging around for the band. So that's maybe just something to think about for next year.
I think it's because it's mainly a kids. event,
I was gonna say, I think
The
it's
whole
good.
picnic.
when my kids went to a picnic, there was never a band. Years ago, there was
Yeah.
a dunk tank though, which is
There was a dunk
big,
tank. A
big
dunk
deal.
tank.
With teachers in it and things like that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, we could do that. I
Beats
mean,
the band.
that can be rented. We just need volunteers. And I'm not volunteering.
They have to be teachers, actually.
Teachers.
Or-
Nobody will want to dunk us, but you do want to.
Town council,
They want-
how
they
about
want-
town council members?
They want to dunk their friends too. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I thought it went well. Thank you, John, and everybody. So just keep going. Okay, moving right along. Hawthorns.
Okay, I'm going to try to make this quick because there was a public access working group meeting focused on the entrance and exits parking design, and then they started to get into trail usage and such. However, the meeting there were letters from BPTS, Trails and Paths, and the ad hoc committee. And the POG really, I felt, listened to and read the comments and incorporated them, and they were very thoughtful overall. But essentially they ran out of time to go over all of the elements that they had to discuss. So instead of the December 16th meeting that had originally been planned to be a site tour to go over some of these decisions, it is now a continuation of the design meeting. So there's at this meeting, they'll still go over potential parking options and trail options and such, but things will be a lot more concrete after that meeting. And there are a couple outstanding issues. One is really the traffic study that was acknowledged. It was from 2019 that just looked at traffic volume from the town, that was really not useful in any way, and it was very old. And so MidPen is updating their traffic study, but they're just looking at this point in time. So BPTS is again going to be commenting on needing a more robust traffic study, as well as some other issues. And there may be some comments from Trails. They have a meeting on December 13th about bicycle usage. And, but more or less what I took away in that meeting is people were very open to multi-use access of the trails. And then the ad hoc committee is going to go back and reiterate their support for BPTS and the traffic study. Again, to strongly consider access and perhaps ingress and egress on the Los Trancos side, depending on what they learn from traffic patterns and speed and all of that. We'll comment on Parks and Rec is support for dog access on leash, is essentially it's not going to be a dog park. And just to reiterate that we want the Alpine Trail on the Hawthorne side of the road to be made safer and multi-use for kids. It's got to be wider and not have that drop off. But that is being discussed and being taken very seriously by the public access working group. So I think that is making progress. And that's about all that I would say.
You want to
on
mention the
that.
next meeting?
Pardon me?
And mention the next meeting?
Yes, Saturday, December 16th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the MidPen offices. I posted in the forum, and then the agenda materials will come out most likely December 13th. And I'll send those, a link out, and again, tell people how to comment. They have to submit a comment card. So that's sort of where we're at. And they will have a Zoom link, but it's not posted yet.
So again, a huge thank you to Karen for doing all this work. Really coming along nicely, I think. And She's really gotten the engagement of the committees that need to be involved, which is great. So we'll just keep plugging along. Any other comments, questions on Hawthorne's committee? No? Christy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the public that might be listening that the best way to comment is to fill out the card that you want to comment ahead of time, put every agenda item on there. They will call your name. You can say pass or talk. Otherwise, it's very, very hard in the middle of a meeting to fill out this card and do a spontaneous comment. And you might have something really important to say, and you just won't be able to say it because it's very difficult in the middle of a meeting. So I did want to say that. And I think this committee, since it's recreation, I don't know if you've selected to go to these meetings separately and comment separately, or if you're going to take a vote together, because it'd be hard to get the vote that you all agree on. But you know, you have the bikes, no bikes. You have dogs, no dogs. I mean, how are you as a committee going to go forward with the usage of recreation? And then I think the other thing is people having bike security where kids can lock up their bikes on that parking lot, wherever they decide. That we have, how many would you request? Would you request 5, 10, 15? How many bikes do you want to be able to have locked there? That
Okay,
might-
Christy, thanks. Oh, just a comment. Let's just keep any issues for Hawthorne's related to Parks and Rec here. So parking spaces, not our purview, but recreation is. So did you?
Biking is recreation, no?
Yeah, so Christy, we appreciate your comments. And again, I think after December 16th, there's still going to be plenty of time to comment. And so when we're able to actually view a design proposal and look at the number of bike parking spaces and look at if the trail is open for bikes, that's what the ad hoc committee is feeling, and a lot of public comment can come then when there's more that we can actually respond to. Because at this point, I think all those things are going to be addressed by the POG, the Public Access Working Group.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, we'll have more to comment on.
Yeah.
After the December 16th meeting, because they'll be more specific. And I do appreciate your comment about the comment card. Karen was gonna put something about that in the meeting notes. Yeah. I mean, the PV. form.
The PV form. Yeah.
Agreed. That was not intuitive last time. So thanks for that, Christy. Okay, anything else on Hawthorne's? Okay. E, pickleball. So we got approval today to do a 60-day trial to keep the pickleball nets out on court 1 only, Monday through Friday.
Perfect.
Congratulations. Howard and Justin are supportive. So I would say, does it start Monday? Is that when you want to start it?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll review the results. So 60 days will be through the middle of January. We'll review the results if we have them. Okay. And I think you and I could probably work offline to develop some sort of feedback loop for how we get comments as to how it's working. Do you want to put are you going to put out the announcement or do you want me to? Okay. All right.
So can you refresh my memory? There's 4 of the sturdy nets, right? And then there's 4,
They're not started, they're just rolling.
well, the rolling nets. Okay. Yeah.
So it's those 4 rolling nets that we
4,
want to
yeah,
leave out.
yeah.
So what they approved was the 4 rolling nets, if we assume those are the ones that are gonna go out, can stay on court 1, Monday through Friday. They have to be put away Friday night. They can be brought out Monday morning. I mean, obviously they'll
Well, they'll
be brought out
yeah,
on the weekend, but you have to put them away on the
At our
weekend.
times, we just put them away.
Yeah.
Right. That'll be perfect. That's great.
So I think that's a good test for a
2 months. Perfect.
dedicated pickleball court.
February 11th.
We don't go there. Okay. Any other pickleball topics? Miss Pickleball?
No, I'm not ready to go for the dedicated courts until.
No, no, this is a good,
This is a
it's a
good,
good test. Let's see how it goes.
and see if we get any.
Okay.
complaints.
Any updates on the dog park? So, I will mention that, the PBSD superintendent did put out, email or PB forum. There were several incidents on school grounds regarding unleashed dogs, interacting with the school children during and after school hours. And the school has said, starting, I thought it was December 1st, was it December 1st? Starting December 1st, that dogs would not be allowed on school property Monday through Friday at all, and only weekends.
That's Ormondale and Corte Madera and
Yes.
any school
Yes.
property.
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
To the best of my knowledge, that is not being complied with. John Silver and the group are still going out at 4 o'clock on weekdays.
My understanding is the direction has been to not be on the school property Monday through Friday, but yes, on the weekends.
No, I'm, yes, that is true, but I'm saying John Silver's group is still,
Oh, I walked my dog today past Corte Madera and there was a lone person on
well,
the
there's a
field with her
his
dog.
texts are going out saying 4 o'clock every day at the school.
Okay, I got a different text.
Okay.
So we should discuss that.
We should,
Yeah.
we should think of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I did talk to Sarah about it, quite frankly, about how they were going to enforce it, and she had not had that conversation with Roberta. So I did indicate to her that that would be helpful for us to gain demand for a dog park if it is enforced. But see.
You want me to talk about Spring Down?
Please do.
Okay, so I have tried twice and with no success to get in touch with the county of San Mateo because they did a off-leash dog park trial, which appears to not, we're all thinking, I think we need to start thinking differently, which is we don't need these big 8-foot fences. And that as long as there are boundaries and closed fences there, perhaps something could be utilized because San Mateo has been looking and piloting things like this. But I haven't been able to get a response back from the person I was told to talk to. That said, we've taken a look, Patty and I have taken a look at the Spring Down the agreement. And it appears there might be some wiggle room. And since Spring Down has enclosures on all sides of its property, there may be a way to utilize that area. Now, that said, it's not going to be a traditional dog park because there are, it needs to basically maintain its natural state, if you will, and can't be mowed and things like that. So the trail, I would say, think of it more as a dog trail type of thing, but we would like, Patty and I have discussed it, we would like to see if we can pursue having this area be there for dogs off leash to provide some alternative because we can't seem to come up with any other solution. And I'm just going to throw that out there, and it would need somebody to review the conservation easement and interpret things and get in touch with the County of San Mateo and such. And you look like you have a question.
Well, what is the surface? Isn't it just Portola Valley grassland? I mean, it's natural
Sorry?
grassland, the surface now. I mean,
Yeah,
what's
it's
there
just
now?
natural land. So a lot of people want lawn for their dogs to,
Oh,
no, do you sort of, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying is it's not going to be
Traditional.
an
Most dog
enclosed,
parks aren't long.
no, they aren't.
They're
And
dirt.
most, the people in Portola Valley though are used to having these lawn surfaces, but we'll have to
Because they're
change.
using the fields.
Right, they're
So,
using the fields.
It's an interesting thing. You know, I live up in Vista Verde, and at the top of Los Trancos is Blue Oaks. And across the street from Blue Oaks is a wide open field that the town owns. And there's a guy that is out there almost every day with one of those tossing things and his dog. And it's that same grass that's on Springdown. So I know, you know, I mean, the dogs seem to like it well enough. It's the people,
Yeah.
right?
And I think it's a matter of looking at this easement because this is an agreement that was made between the town and the owners of Springdown and making sure that it is used properly. But we think that there's wiggle room and at least we should move forward
Forward and looking at it,
in
yeah.
researching it.
Oh, okay. Good. Who do we,
And
who
I
does
did,
that? A lawyer?
who said what?
Well, who looks at that? And who would be looking at it?
Oh, we would.
Oh, we, like you and I. I mean,
No. We've looked at it. I mean, I think she's saying, does an attorney need to look at it for the
Oh, oh,
interpretation?
oh.
I think that is one of the next steps, and I think there's a town council liaison with San Mateo County that might have more ability to make sure from San Mateo County perspective, we can do this. But it does appear there are more and more parks like that happening in the, you know, in San Mateo County.
good.
Yeah, I did talk to Sarah about this pretty extensively, and she believes very strongly that we need to push on this as hard as we can. She believes that a couple things. One, we really haven't shown, for lack of a better word, the for a dog park. And I know that's hard to say because I think there is, but what she pointed out was when we wanted a pickleball court, we had the schoolhouse filled with people who want a pickleball. Really haven't done that with the dog park. Part of the reason, excuse me, someday my voice may get there, but we don't know. I pointed out to her that part of the reason we haven't have an alternative. And it's only when you take away that alternative that people look to say, well, now we need a solution. So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, but she wants us to continue to pursue Springdown. I talked to Sharif about it. He's very supportive, but he's buried under, you know, everything else that he's trying to deal with. Interesting, he said every town that he has been in a position with, dog park has been in the top 3 issues every time, every town he's ever been. Anyway, but he's supportive of finding solution when he comes up for air. Sarah's supportive of us pursuing this. So I think we should continue going down this path, my humble opinion. And I'll get us a San Mateo County name, contact. And then I think we should continue to look at the easement to see what our opportunities are.
I think we shouldn't call it a dog park. I think it's like an off-leash area.
Mhm.
Dog park has certain
right,
connotations.
it does.
and it's not-
Right, and it's not going to be a park.
not-
Yeah.
well, it's a fifth park.
Yeah.
Would you say off leash what?
Off-leash area.
Off leash area?
That's really all. they're really talking about.
I- Yeah, and I think that's what Mid-Penn, up on Pulgus Ridge, I think it's an off-leash dog area.
Yeah,
Good point.
yeah, you're right. We should
So,
probably
Um,
take the
on-
word
on
park
that
out of it.
space, so I think somebody, we need to understand what's the horse park here called again?
Spring
Spring
down.
Down, because when we were talking about it originally, we are trying to figure out what it was an ad hoc committee, right? And we're trying to figure out what, we could use it for, and it kept coming back to the fact that it has to be open space, and so we were like, okay, so why are we meeting? But one of the big things that was a concern was the horses. They didn't want dogs close to the horses.
We are gonna have some level of resistance from the equestrian committee, or community, in my opinion. Yeah, we had it when we wanted to put it right here.
Now, we have an off-leash dog area at the town center. So it's not, I'm not sure how much different we're talking about. But anyway, that's something we just, probably something to further check on.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well,
How, or whose responsibility is it to get the people to move to the new area?
Well, this enforcement is a big issue because the schools are saying you can't be there, but I can tell you, I walked by Corte Madera today and there was someone on the field with a dog.
Oh.
So, it's after hours. I'm just saying, I don't think there's,
Not enforceable or
nobody has thought about how to solve that problem.
Enforcement is an issue. I mean, you're not gonna get people out of town center unless
They're
you
there
post the
every day.
sheriff there or something.
But
Um,
it does, I mean, we could just have signs. It does say no dogs in the field, but
Yeah.
there's a sign on the field that says
Yeah.
no dogs in the field. Yeah, I think so. We can just start personally with just communication to say that is an off-leash dog.
But
We
nobody's,
can, so please do and see how far we get. with this.
people don't listen. They don't care.
Gotta try.
Well, they might like it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Discuss status of request to town council for a study session on recreational facilities. I have talked to Sharif about this. I keep reminding him, he does have it on his list of things to bring before the town council. He's just said, he just doesn't have space on the agenda. Discuss PB recreational facility opportunity status. Okay, this is what 7582 has been,
Carolyn.
yeah, so this is what we had before. So Lindsay, this, the second one there is the tennis courts we had behind Nat Horse. That's private land. So that, I haven't updated this for a while, so please, I wasn't planning on showing it tonight, but I need to keep track of this. On the Priory, I think I talked about this previously. I did contact the Priory. We do have an agreement for reciprocity. However, it's about 10 years old, so it needs to be updated. And there were conditions on the reciprocity that basically said we can't use it anytime that the Priory is or may use it. So for instance, I don't have it with me, but the tennis courts were like, we could only use them Sunday afternoons for 2 hours or something. I mean, and I'm making this up, please. That's not specifically what it was, but it was very limited. The only use that they would allow us to use the soccer fields was for league play only, not for recreational play. And then again, that was very, very restricted in terms of hours and availability. So it wasn't promising, but That being said, Patrick, who I talked to at the Priory, was willing to have a discussion about updating it. I'm not, that's not to say he'd be open to anything different. I didn't get any further than that. But that is something that we probably want to just get updated and pursue to see if there are any opportunities there for us to use their fields and their courts. But as of now, it does not look like an option until that is finished. The school facilities, Sarah did follow up with Roberta. She indicated that they were not interested in any kind of reciprocity. Another thing I wanted to mention, and this goes back to kind of the dog access, at least for Corte Madera, they are in the process of building a fence completely around the school area for safety, which will be locked when school is not in session. So that obviously can keep dogs off of the field if or when that happens. But if that happens, that would not allow people to go and use, say, the basketball courts when school is not in session. So that kind of limits our ability to use any of the school facilities as well.
Well, then why do they use our facility?
I'm sorry?
Asking. Then why do they use our facilities if we can't use theirs? Just
Because
asking.
I don't.
You know, this is just a
Because they don't have
question, is
tennis
that
courts.
there's a lot of activities, school-related activities that are after hours and, you know, sports teams that are playing there. So I guess my question is when are they going to be locked? Because,
I don't know.
okay, we'll just have to get more information on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think the fences are built yet. But that was my understanding, is that they were moving in that direction. And I think they use our tennis courts because they don't have tennis courts. I know that doesn't please you, but
I
that's
do
true.
think we maybe could add this to do something to do for us, which is to help facilitate them using a different tennis court. You know, still, I think there's actually even a lot that people don't really understand about their usage, right? Because their varsity team, or their team uses Alpine Hills.
Right.
So why, I don't know why they're not both using Alpine.
We tried that last
Tried
year.
that last year.
Tried that last year.
Ogidi, the guy who does it, it's too many kids.
Well, and
You
it
can't displace members.
it's taking courts, away from members
a lot
and
of courts.
who are paying a lot of money per month to use the club.
Yeah. So that didn't work for us. And you know, Lee Pyle, she was the PTO president. She called everyone from Ladera Rec to Ladera Oaks to looking for, to the Priory, everyone, to see if we could get them to let us use those courts because it turns out to be a very few number of hours, but it disrupts the pickleball program significantly. I mean, it really is only 25 hours a year that they need that. But they've taken, 4 days a week at prime time for pickleball players, which is the 3 to 5 time. 4 days a week for like 8 weeks.
Plus, I think we might have had dedicated pickleball courts.
That's right, we would have. Anyway.
Court 3 would help. Court 3 would help. Court 3 would help. Okay, any other questions or updates on the recreational facilities opportunities update? I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to talk about it as well as I could be.
Yeah, I mean, the Ladera Rec was on there, and
Oh, that's right.
but Ladera Rec, again, you pay, the members pay a fee, and we could talk about maybe you know, getting a rate for Portola Valley, but it isn't just a free usage of the courts. And actually there's an issue going on, I've been reading, where their Woodland School is now limiting the public access to their fields as well. And so that's become an issue.
Okay, Christy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, it just seems like there could be some really well thought out negotiations that has to do with recreation and housing that's coming. So if the Priory wants more approvals for more things built, then there's concessions that the town can ask for. And that's where your negotiation power is. So to me, getting ready for those negotiations that are coming soon, it might be a conglomerate, you know, many people involved, rec, housing, negotiators, you know, professional. This is big, this is important things that they want to use courts all over, but they don't want to share their fields. This is not making sense to me. Do we have a good relationship? How can we make it better? How can we negotiate better? I mean, they put up the fence, it's a done deal. And then we have an issue, but they also need fields for, or tennis courts. So I think this is going to be a puzzle. And it sounds to me there's some relationship issues that I'm concerned about.
Okay, those are good comments. Thank you. Okay. I do not have an update on the California State Grant. Sorry, I don't.
You know, maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but I wonder if those funds, instead of losing them, if they could be applied to, if the playground were to move forward and something like that, where we know,
Yeah,
we're going to have it done.
I
Or
thought about that too. It's, first of all, it's only $200,000.
how much do new pickleball courts cost?
Less than that.
I don't know a lot.
There you go.
A lot less than that.
That's,
I think it's something like $11,000.
Need land.
anyway,
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, it's still, still on the list is obviously Ford Field bathrooms, which is what we originally intended it for, but the cost is significantly higher than $200,000. Christy, did you have a comment?
I
No,
do have
just-
comments, Caroline.
Oh, I do have one thing. Sorry. The
Oh.
the contracts are coming up in January. So and it is December 5th. So for all these renewals of these negotiated contracts. So
What contract? What contract are you referring to?
for our land, for our recreation land.
Recreational land for which
the
one?
town, which could be negotiated for usage as well. So you have land that you're renting out and they want to negotiate to use our facilities as well. It seems that we got to be talking about both in our negotiation for
What lands are you referring to, Christy? I'm sorry.
Ladera and Alpine
Oh,
Park
Ladera.
and Alpine. And whatever else we rent out, I believe there's another.
There's a little piece of land next to Alpine, not Alpine, Ladera Oaks, that is town property that Ladera Oaks is using.
but I don't, Christy, how do you know that it's coming up for renewal? Because a lot of those are just, like the parking lease just goes on in perpetuity until it's renegotiated, right?
Oh, just assume that if we have a new
Oh.
manager, they'll want to get a hold of
Okay,
renegotiating some of these contracts. And I assumed January. You're right, that's an assumption, but it's an action item that's on a list somewhere. I hope. That's all.
Okay, I'm sorry. 7652, you had a comment?
Yeah, thank you. In regards to the Priory, I think you have been misinformed. There have been, there were deals made, there were contracts made, and we had access to these fields. I'm really upset that the towns paid $10,000 to make a fence, to put a fence at that field of Georgia Lane at the baseball field. And nobody paid attention. I brought it up to town council, but of course you have two town council members who have their kids there and their wife employed there, and nobody paid attention and nobody seemed to care. This is not right. We used to have access to all fields. And if now the Portola Valley School District is going to put a fence up, that's not correct. These are our tax dollars. We need to share it. And Zaria is not right in this. You know, she has, you know, she's there when she needs money, but she has not been a part of our community to share. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, moving right along. Jay, parking at Rosati's and Ford Field. So I followed up with Corey and got an update from her today that, and this is very generic, she's going to try and get me more information. She said that Rosati's has paid us a lump sum for parking through November, and they have applied for an application to pay parking fees, which has not yet been processed by the town. I do not have any more information than that. I do not know how much they paid. And I do not know if we are going to be, if they agree to the $100 per day. So I'll follow up with Corey, because literally I just got that email today to get more information, because I would like more information. No, and you know, to the comment that was made earlier, which the Parks and Rec Committee has agreed with, that we need to revisit parking fees for Ford Field. And we need to understand the status of the contract situation for Rosati's parking. So those are action items that I will take. Questions? Yeah, it's pretty generic.
Lot of contacts with the town that need-
Yeah, I know it. I just,
so
there's
there's
just not things that are happening at the town that should be. Yeah, go ahead. 7652. Sorry, I keep saying your number, not your name. Go ahead.
That's okay, Patty. You can look at the contract with Alpine Inn. It's on the website. It's on the archive, and then you can see what the agreement was for the parking lot.
Yeah, no,
So I think it's more.
I do have a copy of the contract. I just don't know what the status is of the update and the negotiations.
Oh, okay. And that's new. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a copy of the contract.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, though. Okay, I'll follow up on that. Brown Act committee structure. We're on the home stretch here. Everybody hang in there. We have approval from Sharif and the town attorney to move forward. We are going to be taking the proposal to the town council on January 10th. There are 9 committees that are currently requesting to be non-Brown Act, of which Parks and Rec is one. My expectation is that it will be a discussion item at the January 10th Town Council meeting. And it will probably come back 2 weeks later, hopefully, if there's no significant concerns about it, and be voted on at the next town council meeting. Put in place then by the end of January. So my expectation is if this goes forward, that by the February meeting, that we would be non-Brown Act committee. What does that mean? That means that we will be considered a committee that reports to the town manager, not the town council. Which doesn't really change anything that we do. It's just a reporting relationship. The town manager would approve new members, not the town council. We would not be required to be here in the schoolhouse in person. We could be on Zoom and still count as a committee meeting and as a quorum. We can have discussions between meetings. We can address, much as we do already today, which we're not supposed to. We can have interactive discussions with the public in our meetings. We can choose to add new agenda items in a meeting. We do have to have public, we do have to distribute our materials, meeting materials to the public 48 hours in advance. But that still gives us more time. And we can add agenda items at the meeting if they come up from either the committee or the public, according to our discretion. We cannot vote on anything unless we have a quorum. We cannot vote on anything unless it has already been entertained before the public. So I think those were the main things. It just gives us more flexibility. It gives us more ability to be open at the meeting, between meetings. Gives us the ability to have a quorum if somebody's out of town and they have to join by Zoom. Or if we all just want to stay home, it's a rainy night, we can have a committee meeting, still have a quorum, still have a meeting. I'm sorry,
Yeah, we need a quorum.
you still need a quorum. Oh, you do not need a quorum to have a meeting. You need a quorum to take a vote on anything. Right. If it's been presented at a meeting.
Don't we have to vote to just approve the minutes? I
That's about
mean,
it.
it's a vote. Can we approve the minutes without a quorum?
Why, you little runt. Oh my God. Would you like to do the minutes now? Since we don't need them. Yes, we need minutes. Yes, we have to have minutes. There will still be a requirement that we have to have minutes. For the public, yeah. Cindy, do you have a question?
No, that was
That was.
voting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so
I
stay
do have a
tuned.
question.
Yeah.
Is there a downside to that at all?
Not in my book.
Yeah, so we like this, right? Okay, yeah, sounds good.
Go for it. Okay. I think we got too many committees, but that's not. Okay,
Yeah, that was my
Um,
question too. Is there a downside for the public? I meant, say there's a hot vote on something. Say a $10,000 contract goes to 20 or whatever. Can you all talk behind closed doors, agree on something, come out for a vote, and then we may not have heard the discussion of how it swayed to one side or the other or so you can do this is my concern, behind the door discussions and come out with almost a vote. This isn't really for your committee, but it could be for another committee. I'm not really.
So all meetings are still public. There are no behind the door meetings. The conversations that happen between meetings can be with committee members, but whatever's discussed has to be brought up at the next meeting so that the public has visibility to what was discussed between meetings. And nothing can be voted on between meetings. Has to be voted on in a public meeting.
Right. We have a lot coming up, and it's not your committee, it's mainly, it would be,
Well, not all the committees will be
Right.
a
There's only
non-Brown
nine,
Act committee.
there's only 9
Yeah.
committees that have opted to be non-Brown Act.
and this is, do other cities have non-Brown Act committees?
Do other towns have non-Brown Act committees?
Yeah.
Yes, they do. Yes. Yeah. 7562, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you very much. That seems a conflict to our handbook, and I'm part of the PPTS. That has not been brought up at our committee. So, is PPTS one of them?
No, it is not. They wanted to stay Brown Act.
Okay. And so, how come this is the first thing we hear about that?
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you need to jump all over
Well,
it then.
Was proposed
No?
probably 4 or 5 months ago, right?
It's been on our agenda
been on our
for,
agenda. Yeah.
yeah, 4 or 5 months.
Well, yeah, I understand every committee had a say in it, but we never officially discussed it. So, and perhaps, I haven't seen this at the finance committee. I haven't seen it at the planning committee. I haven't seen it at ASCC. So what other committees are we looking at?
Well,
The Trails Committee.
Planning Commission and ASCC cannot legally be non-Brown Act because they are decision-making committees. It's only advisory
Okay.
committees. So ASCC and Planning Commission stay Brown Act. Finance Committee and BPTS stay Brown Act. I don't have the list in
What
front
about
of
the
me.
Trail? What about the Trails Committee?
Which committee?
Trails?
Trails and paths.
Trails. I think they still want to be Brown Act. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't have the list in front. There'll be a summary at
So,
Patty, weren't there only certain committees that they went to that they thought could be non-Brown Act committees?
no, it was
Oh, okay.
offered to all committees.
Okay.
There were certain committees that didn't have a choice, such as planning and ASCC, because their charter is that they are decision-making committees. And those by either law or something have to be Brown Act. But if you're an advisory committee, which is what the rest of our committees are, you have the option of Brown Act or non-Brown Act. And I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me, but come to the January 10th town council meeting. Okay. That's all I got.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, public. Appreciate you
Thanks,
coming.
everyone. Have a good night.
Love you guys.
So, wouldn't her committee have been responsible for letting her in? That's not our business, is it?